And I keep going day by day. The date arrived. December 19th, 2025. The arrival of the interstellar object designated as 3I Atlas in the solar system triggered all kinds of crises, especially in the scientific community and among scholars who study these topics. Why, you might be wondering, right? What's going to happen today? How much is the world going to change? It was discovered on July 1, 2025 by the Atlas Alert System in Chile. The object is not just an astronomical curiosity, it became the focal point of a narrative convergence where astrophysics, planetary defense, and conspiracy theories all come together. But what is 3I Atlas? What do we know today on the day of its approach? There are several advanced extraterrestrial hypotheses, particularly those supported by academic factions, dissidents, and exopolitical intelligence communities. The possibility will be examined that 3I Atlas is not a single object but a complex system. A swarm, remember this word, swarm. The implications for national security will be analyzed. Today, the world once again activated all telescopes and planetary defense systems, and that's no coincidence. This planetary defense drill is to grasp the scale of this extraterrestrial hypothesis. The official narrative of National Aeronautics and Space Administration and European Space Agency, which claims that 3I Atlas is a natural comet rich in exotic volatiles. However, the data collected so far presents a lot of contradictions. The object entered the solar system with an excessive hyperbolic speed of 58 kilometers per second. This speed not only confirms its interstellar origin, ruling out any gravitational link with the Sun, but also places it in an energy regime higher than that of most neighboring stars. Because, in addition, the trajectory of 3I Atlas is highly anomalous, especially due to its geometric alignment, unlike what is expected from interstellar comets randomly ejected by distant stellar systems. 3I Atlas. It entered very close to the plane of the ecliptic, the plane where the planets of the solar system orbit. With a deviation of less than 5 degrees, the statistical probability that a random interstellar object would coincide with that plane is 0. This precise orbital injection is the first indication that those who propose this artificial hypothesis take as evidence of an intentional navigation maneuver. The analyses carried out throughout this year revealed the chemical composition, which is truly puzzling, while typical comets are dominated by water ice and silicate dust. 3I Atlas has an unusual abundance of atomic nickel and cyanide, with a notable scarcity of iron and a water presence of just 4% by mass. To understand this, in terrestrial metallurgy, nickel is used to give resistance to corrosion and thermal stability at high temperatures. Similar and desirable characteristics that could be used for the hull of an interstellar spacecraft designed to withstand erosion from the interstellar medium over millions of years. The naturalistic hypothesis suggests that it could be a fragment of a differentiated planetary core from another solar system, an M-type asteroid. But the lack of iron breaks all the models. Everything we know. The extraterrestrial hypothesis interprets this nickel purity as an indication of artificial refinement or advanced materials engineering. Today is the day. Dr. Avi Loeb, professor of astrophysics at Harvard and leader of the project, Galileo has systematized the deviation that 13A has had after several into a list of anomalies that together make the natural explanation statistically unlikely. The anomalies aren't just curiosities, you know? They constitute the evidential basis for the hypothesis that 3 in Atlas is a probe. The most visually striking and controversial anomaly is the presence of a tail-like structure pointing toward the sun not far from it. It was persistently observed before and after perihelion. In standard physics, solar radiation pressure and solar wind push dust and gas away from the star. The anti-tails observed in previous comets are usually geometric optical illusions that appear when Earth crosses the comet's orbital plane. However, 3 in Atlas defy any geometric explanation. Observations from the Gemini Observatory show that this flow is confined within a narrow opening angle of about 6 to 8 degrees. And it extends for more than 500,000 kilometers. What is the technological interpretation? A jet of natural gas would expand isotropically through the vacuum. A collimated and specific jet implies electromagnetic confinement, an exhaust pipe. Lowy suggests that this could be a propulsion system that counteracts solar gravity to maneuver, or a particle beam designed to ablate and clear micrometeoroids in front of the ship as it travels at high speed. Subtitles by Trasnoche Paranormal. And Atlas is accelerating, it's moving faster than the sun's gravity dictates, while comets do this by expelling gas, a rocket effect. The estimated mass of the nucleus of 3 in Atlas, 1,000,000 times more massive than Oumuamua, would require a cataclysmic mass ejection to achieve such thrust. Something that is not observed in the images recorded by telescopes. The discrepancy between the visible expelled mass and the acceleration obtained. It suggests a propulsion mechanism with high specific efficiency that is consistent with advanced engines or propulsion systems. One of the most striking correlations discovered recently is the object's origin vector when they trace the trajectory of 3 in Atlas back in time. Its radiant, so to speak, its point of origin in the sky, aligns with the constellation Sagittarius. Coinciding with the location of the famous WOW radio signal, which was detected in 1977 with a precision of 9 degrees margin of error. The probability that an interstellar object randomly comes from the same small region of the sky as the signal. The strongest candidate in history is 0.6. This coincidence revives the theory that the WOW signal was not an isolated event, but rather a kind of radar ping or a synchronization signal, and that 3 and Atlas are the physical counterparts. A probe sent to investigate the system that received the signal. So, us, Earth, or simply following the same galactic navigation route established by the civilization that sent the message. Days ago, faced with the difficulty of reconciling the object's brightness with its mass and the lack of water, a new revolutionary hypothesis emerged. Dr. Loeb proposed in a seminal article recently on December 8th that 3 and Atlas might not be a single solid object, but rather a swarm of coordinated objects. The theory postulates that what we see as an anti-tail is actually the reflection of sunlight in billions of tiny objects or subprobes that surround the main core and are traveling in formation. A swarm of 1 trillion small objects. It would have a low total mass, about 1/10 of the mass of the main object, but a combined reflective surface 100 times greater than that of the solid core. This explains why the object is so bright without needing a massive cloud of gas and dust evaporating. This swarm configuration aligns with the concept of a seeder in space exploration. An interstellar mothership could release thousands of miniature probes, microprobes, and enter a solar system. These probes would use solar radiation pressure and planetary gravity to disperse and conduct reconnaissance of the area. Images processed at the end of November showed lateral lines and changes in the morphology of the tail, which could be interpreted as events of secondary payload releases. The trajectory of 3I Atlas, which crosses the orbits of Mars and Earth and is heading toward Jupiter today, would be the optimal route for deploying sensors in the gravitational wells of these planets. It is speculated that Jupiter could be used to gravitationally capture part of this swarm, leaving a permanent presence in our solar system. Beyond astrophysics, 3I Atlas has triggered a sociological and counterintelligence phenomenon known as 3 Eyes. This aspect is crucial to understanding the current climate of public distrust and the interpretation of events. The official designation of 3I Third Interstellar Object was immediately co-opted by unidentified flying object theory communities who linked the concept of the third eye, remote viewing, and omniscient surveillance with an alleged supranational or alien intelligence organization. The narrative holds that the name is not a coincidence, but rather a revelation of the method, a code used by the elites to communicate the object's surveillance nature. In October 2025, the International Asteroid Warning Network, backed by the United Nations, announced a global observation campaign focused between Sea Atlas. Officially, this was presented as a practice exercise to calibrate sensors for the conspiracy observers. Activating a network designed for planetary defense against an object that is supposedly not a threat is a major contradiction. This climate of suspicion was exacerbated by the concurrent testimony of whistleblowers like Luis Elizondo before the United States Congress, who warned about the existence of craft recovery programs. The synchronicity between the political hearings and the arrival of Tress and Atlas leads to the theory that the current disclosure is a form of psychological preparation. Forced by the imminent arrival of this interstellar visitor, the flight path of Tress and Atlas is perhaps the most compelling piece of evidence for the directed probe hypothesis. Its path isn't random. The object performed a series of close passes to the main bodies of our solar system in a relatively short period of time. For example, it was at Mars on October 3, 2025. Close enough to scan the Martian moons and the surface, and it passed by the Sun on October 29. Did it use the perihelion to maximize solar energy, or to perform hidden maneuvers behind the solar glare? It passed by Venus, flew over Venus on November 3. Today it is approaching our planet Earth and heading toward Jupiter. It will arrive on March 16, 2026. The cumulative probability that an inert rock randomly launched from deep space would pass by Mars, Venus, Earth, and Jupiter in a single ecliptic journey. It's really impossible. In astrodynamics, this is a classic solution to the traveling salesman problem. If an intelligence wanted to send a single probe to update its database about the state of a solar system, this is the trajectory it would choose. The final pass by Jupiter is especially suspicious since the immense gravity of the gas giant is ideal for slowing down, changing orbital planes, or injecting sub-probes into stable orbits within our system. What's going to happen? All the available evidence about 3 and Atlas leaves more questions than answers. 3 and Atlas is an interstellar reconnaissance probe. It originates from a star system towards Sagittarius connected to the WOW signal. The technology, unconventional propulsion, collimated jet, an ion engine, advanced materials, nickel alloy, and the ability to deploy swarm subunits for the mission. A grand tour The cartographic update of the solar system, the lack of any attempt at direct communication, suggests that the probe is autonomous, indifferent to our presence. Although critics argue that this hypothesis fills the gaps in alien knowledge, the accuracy of the anomalies, the WOW vector, the ecliptic alignment, the industrial composition, offer an internal coherence that the strange natural comet model is practically impossible. The critical window doesn't end with today's passage by Earth. The most important phase for confirming Enjambre's hypotheses will be the flyby of Jupiter in March 2026. If 3I Atlas performs significant maneuvers near Jupiter, or if the separation of objects that remain trapped in orbit is detected, the probe hypothesis will go from being speculation to an operational certainty for planetary security. Until then, 3I Atlas remains the black swan. An anomaly that forces us to ask whether the universe is full of dead rocks or if we are simply being visited. The day arrived. If you have a telescope, use it. You're going to need it. Tonight, it's at its peak, 1.8 astronomical units. After this, the object will move away from us toward Jupiter. But the question that personally hasn't let me sleep these days is, will the whole object leave, or will a part of it stay with us? Look beneath the stars, go outside, use binoculars, look for a spot that shouldn't be there. And if you see a light that blinks, if you see it moving in a way that physics can't explain, you'll know that the story of humanity is changing forever. A new reality begins today. We are visited by 3I Atlas. I look forward to your comments. I want to know what you think.